After 5 years in prison, I walked out of the prison gates. My brother Ethan stood outside in a suit and tie, with a luxury car parked behind him. When he saw me, his eyes reddened, and his voice choked. "Nora, bro is here to pick you up and take you home." "I'm sorry, it was bro's fault." Bro shouldn't have believed Aria's words back then. Aria, the daughter our family adopted, designed a trap to frame me for him, making me take the blame for intentional injury. And my own brother personally sent me in. I looked at his regretful face, smiled, bypassed him, and walked towards an old Santana on the other side. In the car, a dark-skinned man with a knife scar on his arm grinned at me. "Sis, get in." He was the big brother I met in prison, Jack. I said to Ethan, "I have no home, and no brother. My family is here to pick me up." Ethan's face turned pale, watching in disbelief as I got into that rundown car and sped away. 5 years. The air in prison was stagnant and moldy, while the outside wind carried the tangy sweetness of freedom. Ethan stood in that wind, dressed in an expensive custom suit, hair combed meticulously, looking every bit the gentleman. He was more mature than 5 years ago, and more like a lofty authority figure. But as soon as he spoke, the facade shattered. "Nora, bro is here to pick you up and take you home." His voice carried a deliberately suppressed tremor, his eyes red. I guessed he had rehearsed many times in the car before coming, on how to express his regret and pain. "I'm sorry, it was bro's fault." Bro shouldn't have believed Aria's words back then. Aria. This name was like a rusty nail piercing my heart, then pulled out by him, leaving it bloody and mangled. She was the adopted daughter my parents brought back from the orphanage, obedient and sensible, like a daughter flower entwining everyone in our family. Especially my brother, Ethan. For her, he could unhesitatingly push me into the abyss. I looked at him and suddenly smiled. I said nothing, just bypassed him and walked towards the rundown Santana not far away, which stood out from its surroundings. The car window rolled down, revealing Jack's suntanned dark face, the hideous knife scar on his arm particularly striking in the sunlight. He grinned at me, showing a mouthful of white teeth. "Sis, get in." This sis sounded 100 times better than Ethan's Nora. I opened the car door and sat in the passenger seat. Before closing the door, I turned back to look at Ethan, who was frozen in place. "I have no home, and no brother." I said word by word, clearly. "My family is here to pick me up." Ethan's face instantly lost all color, and his carefully prepared regretful expression froze completely on his face. He probably thought that after my release, I would cry and throw myself into his arms, questioning why he treated me this way. He probably thought that as long as he apologized and shed a few tears, I should gratefully forgive him. The Santana let out a roar, spewing a puff of black smoke, and sped away. In the rearview mirror, Ethan's figure grew smaller and smaller, and that expensive luxury car blurred into a tiny black dot. "Goodbye, Ethan. In this life, I won't give you another chance to hurt me." The car drove far away before Jack spoke in a muffled voice. "Sis, is that your real brother?" "No." I looked at the rapidly receding street scenes outside the window, my tone calm. Jack didn't ask further. In prison, he protected me for 5 years. When I first went in, because I looked fair and delicate, I was targeted by several female inmates. It was Jack, who was still in the male section at the time, somehow managed to pass a message to me, saying I was his sister, and whoever dared to touch me should try it. Jack was famously ruthless inside, no one dared to provoke him. From that day on, no one troubled me anymore. We hadn't met many times, but I remembered this favor for a lifetime. Before release, he asked what my plans were. I said I had no home. He said, "Then from now on, I'm your brother, I'm your family." The car stopped in front of a rundown courtyard in the suburbs. This was the foothold Jack found for me, and our future livelihood, a small auto repair shop. The courtyard was piled with various scrap parts, the smell of engine oil mixed with rust, not pleasant. But my heart was unprecedentedly peaceful. "Sis, I'm sorry to wrong you, this is all we can do for now." Jack scratched his head embarrassedly. "Bro, it's great. I said sincerely. In my previous life, I softened my heart. Ethan was the same, picking me up on my release day with the same regretful expression. I cried and questioned him. He held me and wept bitterly, saying he regretted it, saying he would compensate me doubly. I believed him. I returned to that so-called home. Ethan indeed gave me a lot of compensation, money, houses, cars. He wanted to use these things to fill the gap of my 5 years in prison. Aria also cried and knelt before me, slapping her own face, begging for forgiveness. She said she loved brother too much back then, was jealous of me, and acted foolishly in a moment. I looked at her tear-streaked face and softened my heart again. I thought everything could start over. But I was wrong. Aria's jealousy and hatred never disappeared. She exploited my guilt and Ethan's compensatory mindset, intensifying her actions. She would deliberately say ambiguous words in front of Ethan, implying I still held a grudge against her. She would put things she was allergic to in the soup I made, then cry in front of my brother, saying I couldn't tolerate her. Time and again, Ethan's patience with me was worn away. He began to think I was unreasonable and ungrateful. Finally, Aria designed an accident. The car with failed brakes rushed off the cliff, and in the intense pain and flames, I saw Aria standing in the distance, with a victorious smile on her face. At that moment, I realized that from the first day I returned to that home, my fate was sealed. In this reborn life, I had only one thought: stay far away from them and make them lose everything, family ruined and lives lost. Jack and I together tidied up that rundown courtyard to look decent. Jack Auto Repair, the sign was written by Jack himself in red paint, crooked, but it exuded vitality. Jack had good skills, was honest, charged fairly, and gradually gained repeat customers. I learned auto repair from him, not afraid of dirt or fatigue. Holding a greasy wrench felt much more solid than holding the bank card Ethan gave me. The days were simple and poor, but every evening, sitting in the courtyard with Jack, eating the simple meals he made, feeling the evening breeze, I felt immensely at peace. That day, I was buried in repairing a car's engine when my phone rang. It was a bank transfer notification. A long string of zeros dazzled my eyes. 10 million. Immediately after, Ethan's call came in. I hung up directly. He persistently called again. I hung up again, then transferred the 10 million back untouched. Soon, he transferred it again. Note: Nora, don't be angry with bro knows he was wrong. I sneered and returned it again. After several back and forths, he finally stopped sending money and sent a text instead. Nora, I know you're angry with me. Bro bought you a house in the city center, your favorite Riverview one. The password is your birthday. Bro also bought you a car, red, your former favorite. The keys are at the property management. Come home, don't suffer outside. I looked at the message and tossed the phone aside. These things he used to compensate me in my previous life were now copied exactly. Did he think these could erase everything? Did he think I was just throwing a tantrum, staying outside for a few days, and would obediently return once he threw enough money? Ethan, you don't understand me at all. Or rather, you never bothered to understand me. The next day, a black Bentley stopped at the repair shop entrance. The door opened, and Ethan got out. He had changed into casual clothes, but his elite aura clashed with our rundown courtyard. He looked at me in my oil-stained work pants, holding a wrench, his brows tightly furrowed. That look was undisguised heartache and disdain. Nora, what are you doing? Come home with me. He strode over, trying to grab my hand. I stepped back, avoiding it. Don't touch me. My voice was cold. Nora, don't torture yourself like this, okay? The heartache in his eyes was about to overflow. Bro will give you anything, whatever you want, bro will buy it for you. Don't suffer here. I looked at him, finding it extremely ridiculous. I'm not torturing myself, I'm doing well. This is good? He looked around, his tone full of incredulity. Look at yourself now, covered in oil. You used to not even be able to open a bottle cap, and now you're repairing cars? How can the Gu family's young lady do such rough work? Gu family young lady? I laughed. 5 years ago, when you personally sent the Gu family young lady to prison, why didn't you think of that? Ethan's face paled, his lips moved, but he couldn't speak. At that moment, the other door of the Bentley opened. Aria, in a pure white dress, got out. When she saw me, tears immediately welled up, and she quickly ran to me, looking on the verge of tears. "Sister, you finally agreed to see us." As she spoke, she tried to grab my hand. "Sister, it's all my fault, you can hit me or scold me, please forgive brother. Brother hasn't slept well for a single day in these 5 years, he really misses you." She cried like a pear blossom in the rain, pitiful, as if she had suffered greatly. In my previous life, I was deceived by her appearance. In this life, I only felt disgusted. I ignored her and turned to shout into the house. "Bro, there are mad dogs, drive them away." Jack was organizing tools inside, heard my voice, and came out carrying a half-meter-long wrench. He was tall and sturdy, standing at the door like a wall. He glanced at the sobbing Aria and the ashen-faced Ethan, asking in a deep voice, "Sis, which one?" I pointed at both, too. Jack shouldered the wrench and stepped forward 2 steps. "Didn't you hear? My sis told you to scram." Aria shrank back in fear, hiding behind Ethan. The action of protecting me behind him stung Ethan. He stepped forward, glaring at Jack. "Who are you? How dare you speak to Nora like that?" "I'm her brother." Jack was concise. "You?" Ethan sized up Jack, the contempt in his eyes undisguised. "Nora, stop fooling around. Mixing with such shady people, what does that look like? Come home with me now." The matter-of-fact tone made me laugh. "Ethan, I'll say it again, my home is here, my brother is him." I pointed at Jack. "As for you, please leave immediately, don't dirty my place." "Nora." Ethan's voice was full of disappointment and heartache. "How did you become so unreasonable?" "I'm unreasonable?" It was like I heard the biggest joke. 5 years ago, when I knelt begging you to believe me, you said I was unreasonable. Now, what right do you have to say those 4 words? Ethan's face turned completely white. Aria was still sobbing behind him. "Sister, don't blame brother, it's all my fault. If you're angry, hit me." As she said, she really stretched her neck, looking ready for my disposal. I looked at her and suddenly felt it was pointless. Acting with such people lowered my level. "Jack, see the guests out." I tossed the wrench and turned back into the house. Behind me came Ethan's unwilling roar and Aria's cries. Jack didn't let them approach half a step. "Scram, or this wrench won't be merciful." The Bentley finally drove away. Jack came in, put the wrench in the toolbox. "Sis, is your real brother mentally ill?" I picked up a rag, wiped the oil from my hands, and said faintly, "He's not ill, he's selfish to the extreme. He thinks he's the center of the world, everyone should revolve around him. He makes a mistake, apologizes, and others should forgive him. If not, then others are unreasonable and ungrateful. I thought driving them away once would make them stop." I underestimated Ethan's persistence, or rather, he underestimated my determination. The next day, trouble came to the repair shop. People from industry and commerce, fire department, tax bureau came wave after wave. Saying our fire safety was non-compliant, to seal it. Saying our business license had issues, to revoke it. Saying we were suspected of tax evasion, to audit accounts. Various baseless charges were imposed, and without explanation, they pasted a seal on our gate. Jack was so angry he wanted to argue with them, but I held him back. "Bro, it's useless." I looked at the white seal, my heart ice cold. This was Ethan's tactic. He thought by cutting off my livelihood, leaving me with no way out, I would obediently go back and beg him. He wanted me to understand that without him, I was nothing. Jack punched the wall, his eyes red. "These bastards. Too bullying. Bro, don't be angry." I handed him a bottle of water. He wants me to go back, but I won't. But our shop. Jack looked worried. If the shop is gone, we can open another. If a person loses backbone, then nothing is left. I took out my phone, flipped to a number sealed for 5 years, and dialed. The phone rang for a long time before being answered. Hello, who is it? A vigilant male voice came from the other end. Walter, it's me, Nora. The other side was silent for a few seconds, then came a cold laugh. Miss Nora? What, out of prison? What do you want? Pleading for your brother? Walter, Ethan's business archenemy. In my previous life, Ethan set a trap to snatch a development project in the south of the city, causing Walter to lose everything and nearly go bankrupt. I had overheard some of this incident back then. Ethan had boasted triumphantly to me, saying business is like a battlefield, no mercy for enemies. No. I said into the phone, word by word. I want to give you a big gift, one that can make Ethan doomed forever. Walter's breath hitched on the other end. What do you mean? All of Goo Group's overseas projects in the past 3 years went through an offshore company called New Hope. This company was registered by Aria using her distant relative's ID, specifically for tax evasion and asset transfer. These were things I accidentally saw after returning to the Goo family in my previous life. I didn't understand then and foolishly asked Ethan, who just brushed me off, saying it was normal business operations. Now, these have become the sharpest knife in my hand. Walter, you just need to investigate, the rest is up to how you want him to die. There was a long silence on the other end. After a while, Walter's voice sounded again, with irrepressible excitement. Miss Nora, what do you want? I just want Ethan ruined and dead. Good. Deal. Things escalated faster than I imagined. Walter was ruthless, he had been badly tricked by Ethan and wanted revenge long ago, just hadn't found the opportunity. What I gave him was a knife that could pierce the heavens. In just 3 days, scandals of Goo Group tax evasion and illegal money laundering through offshore shell companies flooded everywhere. News, newspapers, internet, all full of negative reports on Goo. Goo Group suspected of massive tax fraud, Chairman Ethan taken away for investigation by authorities. Century-old enterprise's reputation collapses, Goo stock hits limit down for 3 consecutive days, market value evaporates hundreds of billions. Jack and I sat in a small noodle shop by the street, watching the news on the wall TV, silently eating noodles. On TV, Ethan was surrounded by reporters and bailiffs, no longer the spirited look of the past, only embarrassment and fear remained. Jack picked some beef for me with chopsticks. Sis, feel relieved? I nodded and stuffed the beef into my mouth. Relieved? Not really. My heart had no big waves, like watching a story unrelated to me. Perhaps the hatred from the previous life was too deep. In this life, I just wanted to see him fall into hell. Everything he's experiencing now is what he deserves. Ethan was frantic, begging everywhere, but when the wall falls, everyone pushes. Former partners who called him brother now avoided him. Banks demanded loans, projects halted, partners withdrew funds. The Goo Group commercial empire was teetering. And the last straw that broke the camel's back was Aria. This woman Ethan protected with everything, at his most critical moment, gave him the fatal blow. She took all the remaining liquid funds from the company accounts, as well as money from Ethan's personal account, and ran off with a newly met rich second generation. Before leaving, she left Ethan a note. Ethan, you're a good person, but also a fool. You can't beat your sister. That money, consider it compensation for my youth these years. Goodbye, no, never see you again. I saw this note in the photo Walter sent me. I don't know what Ethan's expression was when he saw it. Probably quite spectacular. For this woman, he abandoned his own sister, ruined his life, only to find out he was just a stepping stone for her to climb to power. Truly, a huge irony. Goo Group went bankrupt. Faster than anyone imagined. From favored son of heaven to debt-ridden loser, Ethan took only a month. All his properties and luxury cars were seized and auctioned by the court. That Riverview house I once loved most was among them. Our repair shop was unsealed. Walter sent someone with money, saying it was my thank you gift. I didn't take it. I said to Jack, "Bro, we'll rely on ourselves." Jack smiled, "Good, we'll rely on ourselves." With our remaining savings, we reopened the repair shop. Because it was sealed without reason before, neighbors and old customers thought we offended someone, instead showing more sympathy, and business was better than before. Days passed one by one. Ethan and Aria seemed to have completely disappeared from my world. I almost forgot these two people. Until that day, a pouring rain afternoon. I was checking accounts in the shop when Jack rushed in from outside, looking strange. "Sis, outside, someone looking for you." I looked up. "Who?" "You, go out and see." I put down the ledger, held up an umbrella, and walked to the door. The rain was heavy, the world gray and misty. A person was kneeling straight at my repair shop entrance. Rainwater flowed down his hair and cheeks, completely soaked, utterly wretched. It was Ethan. He had lost a lot of weight, looked much haggard, with sunken eyes and stubble, no trace of his former self. When he saw me come out, he raised his head, lips trembling like a fish out of water. "Nora." His voice was hoarse and dry, almost drowned by the rain. I held the umbrella, looking down at him. Between us was a curtain of rain, and a lifetime of deep enmity. "Nora, I was wrong." He knee-walked a few steps, trying to approach, but was pinned by my cold gaze. "I was really wrong. I shouldn't have believed Aria. I shouldn't have sent you to prison. I'm sorry to you. I'm sorry to Mom and Dad." He cried with snot and tears, like a child. "Forgive me, okay? Please, forgive me." He reached out, trying to grab my hem. I stepped back, avoiding his muddy hand. Rain hit the umbrella, making pattering sounds, like mocking his pitifulness. I looked at him calmly, word by word, clearly. "Ethan, from the moment you chose to believe Aria and sent me to prison, our sibling bond was severed. I was in prison for 5 years, while you lived gloriously outside. After release, I just wanted a peaceful life, but you tried to exterminate me. Now, you have nothing left, and come begging for forgiveness?" I chuckled lightly, the laugh full of sarcasm. "What makes you think I would forgive you?" His body trembled violently, face drained of color. "No. Nora, you can't do this to me. We're siblings." "Siblings?" I repeated the words, finding them piercing. "When you forged evidence for Aria and personally sent me to court, why didn't you think we were siblings? When I knelt begging you, saying I didn't push her, she fell down the stairs herself, why didn't you think we were siblings?" "Ethan, put away your act. You're not here to beg forgiveness, you're just desperate, wanting some psychological comfort from me. You just want to feel better, tell yourself you've apologized, and I've forgiven you." I looked at his colorless face and said the cruelest words. "I tell you, impossible. I will never forgive you." After saying that, I didn't look at him anymore and turned back to the shop. Warm lights, steaming hot pot, Jack's worried face. Outside was his hell. Inside was my new life. I closed the door, completely shutting out his desperate cries. I thought Ethan would disappear from then on. But he didn't. He began appearing in my life in an almost self-abusive way. He no longer knelt at the door, but came every day. Arriving before dawn, standing on the roadside opposite the repair shop, like a statue gazing at his wife. Not speaking, not approaching, just watching from afar. Regardless of wind or rain, never interrupted. Jack tried to drive him away several times, cursed him, even shoved him. He didn't fight back, just wouldn't leave. Like a lingering ghost. Neighbors around started pointing at me. "That's her brother, heard he was rich before, now bankrupt, comes every day begging forgiveness. This sister is too heartless, after all, he's her real brother. Yeah, look how pitiful he is, rain or shine." I heard these gossips, my heart unmoved. Pitiful? When I was locked in prison, eating moldy buns, being bullied, who pitied me? When I was designed by Aria and died in flames, who pitied me? They only see Ethan's current downfall, but forget who caused all this. That day, Jack failed to drive him away again and came back angrily. "Sis, how about we call the police? This counts as harassment." I shook my head. "Bro, useless. He hasn't done anything, police can't handle it." "Then what? Let him stand there every day? It's unlucky to see." I put down my work, wiped my hands. "Bro, I'll talk to him." I walked across the road. When Ethan saw me coming, his eyes instantly lit up. It was the light of a dying man seeing hope. "Nora, you're willing to see me?" He was emaciated, clothes dirty and old, emitting a sour stench. "Ethan, what do you want?" I got straight to the point. I just want to see you." His voice was weak. "See me?" I sneered. "See if you've driven me to death?" His face paled, he lowered his head. "Nora, I know I was wrong. I'll do anything, as long as you forgive me." "Anything?" I looked at him. He suddenly raised his head, nodding vigorously, "Yes. Anything." "Good." I pointed to a pile of scrap tires at the repair shop entrance waiting to be disposed. "See those? Move them all to the scrap yard. When you're done, then talk to me." That pile of tires was as high as a small mountain. One person, moving by hand, couldn't finish in 2 or 3 days. Ethan was stunned. He probably didn't expect I'd make him do such work. He was once GU Group's president, never dirted his hands. I looked at his hesitant face and turned to leave. "If unwilling, forget it." "I'm willing." He suddenly shouted and rushed over. He ran to the pile, without a word, hugged one and walked out. The tire was black and dirty, adding another black mark to his colorless jacket. Hugging the tire, he staggered. A person who once moved billions with a finger, now doing the lowest manual labor for an illusory forgiveness. I stood there, watching his back, no trace of satisfaction in my heart, only desolation. "Ethan, if you knew this, why did you do it?" Ethan really went to move them. With no tools, just his hands, hugging one by one, dragging trip after trip. From day to night. On the first day, he moved a third. At night, he slept under the eaves at the repair shop in trance, curled up. Jack couldn't bear it and wanted to give him a blanket. I stopped him. "Bro, ignore him. Sis, he'll freeze to death. If he freezes, he deserves it." My heart was harder than stone. The second day, he continued. Movements obviously slower, hands full of wounds, walking staggering. Passers-by wanted to help, but he refused. He said, this is what he owes her. The third day, it rained again. He braved the rain, moving the last few tires. After the last one, he walked to me soaked, like a drenched dog. "Nora." I finished. He grinned, trying to smile, but it was uglier than crying. I looked at him, expressionless. "And then?" He was stunned. Didn't you say?" I said talk to me after finishing. I interrupted him. "Now you've said it, you can go." The light that had barely ignited in his eyes extinguished instantly. "Nora, you lied to me." His voice carried endless despair and grievance. "I lied to you?" I laughed. "Ethan, compared to what you did to me, this is nothing? I made you move tires, at least didn't make you die." He staggered back 2 steps, looking at me in disbelief. How did you become like this?" "I became like this, isn't it thanks to you?" I looked at him coldly. "What, you hope I'm still the naive stupid Nora who helps count money after being sold by you? You hope I forgive you like in the previous life, return to your side, then get killed by Aria again? Previous life?" He caught the word, looking confused. I realized I slipped, but I didn't care anymore. "Scram." I said only one word. He stood in the rain, motionless, like all strength was drained. After a long time, he turned, dragging heavy steps, disappearing into the rain curtain. This time, he didn't come back. I thought this farce was finally over. Until half a month later, I received a call from a stranger. It was the police. "Is this Ms. Nora?" "This is the West City Police Station. Ethan had an accident, the last contact in his phone is you." My heart sank. When I rushed to the hospital, Ethan was in the emergency room. The police told me he conflicted with scrap collectors over a mineral water bottle, got beaten, head hit the curb, very serious. I stood at the emergency room door, looking at the red light, mixed feelings. I hated him, wanted him ruined and dead, to taste all my sufferings. But I didn't think of taking his life. Jack came with me. He patted my shoulder. "Sis, don't overthink, not your fault." "Yes, not my fault." He turned his life into a joke himself. The rescue lasted long. When the doctor came out, face grave. The patient was saved, but due to prolonged brain hypoxia, became a vegetable. Vegetable. I stood stunned, no reaction for a while. This meant he would lie in bed for life. No thoughts, no consciousness, like a living corpse. This was crueler than death. The police asked, "Are you his only relative?" "Only relative." How ironic. I shook my head. "No." The police was stunned. "But in his contacts, you're noted as sister." "That's his wishful thinking." I said calmly. "We severed ties long ago." Then his follow-up, "What do you think?" "Send to welfare home." I dropped the words and turned to leave. Jack followed behind, saying nothing. Walking out of the hospital, the outside sunlight was dazzling. I looked up at the sky, exhaling long. Everything was over. Ethan, your family ruined, you gone. And I, to start my new life. I thought the matter passed like that. Until a year later, a lawyer found me. He said he was the executor of the will Ethan made before the accident. I was stunned. "Will?" The lawyer handed me a document. Ethan, all properties under my name, including remaining personal assets after GU Group bankruptcy liquidation, and a $20 million personal accident insurance, after my death or loss of capacity, all bequeathed to my sister, Nora. I know she won't forgive me. But this is what I owe her. If possible, next life, let me repay the debt. The date was the day before he moved the tires. He had foreseen his end long ago, or rather, had death wish. That $20 million accident insurance was bought with his last money. Beneficiary, me. He fought not for a water bottle, it was deliberate. He wanted to trade his life for my forgiveness. Holding the will, my hand shook badly. Tears fell without warning. One drop, two, smashing on the paper, blurring the ink. Jack hugged me from behind. "Sis, cry if you want." I couldn't hold back anymore, squatted on the ground, and cried loudly. I cried for my tragic death in the previous life, for my 5 years in prison, for the past I could never return to in this life. Also cried for that brother I could no longer hate. I'd ultimately accepted the money. I used it to expand the repair shop and bought the adjacent storefront, opening a small restaurant. The restaurant's name was unforgettable. Jack said the name was bad, too literary, not like an eating place. I said, just this. Ethan was sent to the city's best nursing home. I hired the best caregivers for him, using his own insurance money. I occasionally visited him. He lay in bed, very quiet, like asleep. I didn't know if he could hear. I'd talked to him about the repair shop business, new dishes at the restaurant, which girl coming to eat fancied Jack again. He had no response. Once, while wiping his face, I saw a tear slide from his eye corner. I didn't know if it was my illusion. Walter found me again later. He wanted me to join, do business together. He said I was born for this, ruthless enough, tough-wrist. I refused. I said I just wanted to guard my repair shop and restaurant, live peacefully. He was somewhat astonished but respected my choice. He said, Nora, you and your brother are nothing alike. Yes, not alike. I won't become a second Ethan. I heard about Aria's end too. She was dumped by that rich second-gen soon. She wanted to do business with the money she took from Ethan, but lost everything. Later, she tried old tricks, climbing other rich people, but her reputation was ruined, no one fell for it. Heard she ended up in a chaotic bar, living by accompanying drinks. Once, she drank too much, conflicted with a customer, got a leg broken. When I heard this, I was training new waiters at the restaurant. No ripple in my heart. Karma always works. That day, good weather. Jack drove his Santana with new engine, taking me to the nursing home. Old songs played in the car. I looked outside, sunshine just right, gentle breeze. I said to Jack, bro, I want to get married. Jack braked suddenly, car stopped by the road. He turned, looking at me, eyes wide like bells. With who? I looked at his nervous look, couldn't help laughing. Who else? He was stunned for a while, dark face slowly reddened. Sis, you, don't joke. I'm not joking. I leaned over, kissed his cheek. Jack, will you marry me? He was like struck by lightning, stiff, no move for a while. After long, he foolishly asked, marry you, later, do I still cook? I laughed till tears came. Yes. Then, okay. He scratched his head, grinned, smiled.